afternoon again. The last but of course not least person from my cohort, Mea Leffall, and she's an undergrad student of human performance concentration, kinesiology. And today she's going to be talking to us about the role of iron in athletic health and performance challenges and nutritional approaches. Yeah.
Thank you. Again, as he said, my name is Mea Leffall. I decided to do my project or topic on the role of iron in athletic health and performance challenges and nutritional approaches. So this is just did you know, like kind of getting you in the mindset of kind of what we're going to talk about. But 1 in every 49 people have an iron deficiency. Not necessarily they have anemia or a disorder, but they do have a deficiency, just meaning that they don't intake the substantial amount of iron that is necessary on a daily basis. Iron deficiency and iron anemia are different. Anemia is more of a disorder and a disease versus, well, not really a disease, but a disorder. Just whenever you have an iron deficiency is kind of like the first step, and then anemia is like the next step. Out of athletes, 15 to 35% of your female athletes are going to have an iron deficiency. Most of this is due to them having a menstrual cycle and during the adolescence stage whenever they're going through puberty and things like that, versus male athletes tend to only 11% of them are affected. Severe anemia often requires supplementation beyond dietary intake, meaning that your leafy vegetables and just your beans aren't going to cut it. Sometimes they do have to add supplements into their diet to try to help the gap that they're missing. So a little bit of the functions of iron. Iron supports healthy growth and development in children and adults all throughout our lives. It helps deliver oxygen to our bodies. So without it, things would be deprived of oxygen. It also helps maintain our energy levels. Whenever you have low iron, you just are you get fatigued easily. You just aren't able to function at full capacity. And it keeps the level of oxygens in our muscles, being able to compete in endurance activities or weightlifting and things like that, just being able to have the proper oxygen and nutrients needed. So for the introduction, most of the body's iron is about 60 to 70% found in the hemoglobin, the oxygen carrying molecule in the red blood cells, with a small portion of 5% in other containing oxygen transporters. Non-heme iron is also essential for various enzymatic reactions, particularly in the mitochondria. The remaining 20% of iron is stored in ferritin and hemocyanin, and the balance between iron intake and loss regulates the levels of these storage molecules, ultimately impacting the iron available for the hemoglobin synthesis and red blood cells production. So in this chart, you're able to see where basically where most of your iron starts off at and where it goes. So your liver typically has about 100 milligrams of iron, and the muscles, need about 300, and they just all go into the plasma iron bound transferrin, and that takes up about 3 milligrams, and it's just evenly dispersed through the body. Typically, you should lose maybe 1 to 2 milligrams a day. due to, sweating, just dead skin cells, falling off throughout the day, menstruation, and miscellaneous blood loss. So that is accounted for, but whenever you have a deficiency, you're losing significantly more than that. So introduction continued. An iron deficiency is a common nutritional disorder among athletes, especially endurance athletes, due to factors like gastrointestinal bleeding, red blood cell damage, insufficient dietary intake, and sweat loss. This deficiency can impair athletic performance, as iron is crucial for oxygen transport and energy production during exercise. So, like I said earlier, whenever it comes to endurance athletes, they're constantly running, they're constantly hitting the pavement, so they're constantly using more oxygen and not, um, and if they have a deficiency, they're in a sense losing more than they're intaking, and so it can be crucial because they aren't able to run a mile at the same speed or the same amount of time that they were before. So that's one of the reasons why it's crucial. So iron deficiency within athletes. Iron deficiency is prevalent in endurance athletes due to prolonged training, repetitive ground contact, gastrointestinal bleeding, red blood cell breakdown, and inadequate dietary intake, and sweat loss. Iron is crucial for oxygen transport to the muscles and energy production during exercise, thus it impairs the athletic performance in endurance events. So in these charts, it just shows like the portion of athletes that, male and female, that are affected by by iron deficiencies. Out of 407 female athletes, 40% of them were affected, and out of 783, a little over 10%, it was more like 12% of male athletes have an iron deficiency. As far as the age ranges goes, it is more prevalent in, you can see like the 0 to like 25 age range, simply because, they're still growing, they're a lot more active. People that are, 16, 17 are a lot more active than someone that's 35 or 40. They're constantly playing, constantly just moving around and doing other things, so it is a lot more prevalent in the younger ages. So aerobic exercise and iron, average daily training volume, training intensity, distribution, and resulting in training load defined as TRIP, which is intensity zone times duration. During 4 days prior to each testing time point in male junior world elite rowers, during a 4-week pre-competition training camps before the junior world championship. In the graph that we have here, zone 1 refers to the intensities of 50 to 70% of minimal heart or maximal heart rate. Zone 2 is a 70 to 80%, and zone 3 is 80 to 100%. And so you can just see, like, as the days progress, they do reach a peak around the 13-day mark, but then they start to level out. It's not a significant decline, but it does start to level back out. So resistance training and iron. While aerobic exercise impact on iron metabolism is well studied, resistance exercise effects are less understood. Despite its known role in increasing protein synthesis, including muscle protein, some studies suggest that resistance exercise, even mild, can improve iron status. Indicators like ferritin and hemoglobin levels, possibly by increasing the activity of enzymes involved in the heme biosynthesis, like ALAD, and that this effect is greater than aerobic exercise. Research suggests that resistance exercise, unlike aerobic exercise, may improve iron status by increasing iron recycling and biosynthesis. This may potentially benefit athletes and with low iron intake. So in this graph, we have swimmers, climbers, and just like your regular endurance athletes. And you can just really see, like, as far as like the dietary intake with iron, they're all pretty much the same, but there is a little bit of a change around that, like for Mea Leffall. So when it comes to your diet and iron, many male athletes maintain healthy iron levels due to sufficient dietary intake, while some female athletes, despite consuming less than recommended amount, they may avoid anemia due to other factors. Different athletic activities may have varying impacts on iron status. For example, rowing emphasizes power and endurance, might lead to less iron depletion compared to sports like soccer, which require speed and agility, suggesting different iron intake needs based on exercise type. And so this graph is just an example of ways that people can intake more iron and the way that it's absorbed. So diets and nutrients. So carbohydrate intake and energy availability influence iron status by affecting hepatocyte levels. Low muscle glycogen and low energy available in LEA can increase exercise-induced IL-6 and hepcidin, potentially hindering iron absorption, although long-term impact of carbohydrates intake depends on initial iron levels. So treatments for iron is, we can change the way that athletes work out and the type of exercises that they do, but we also can suggest that they take supplements. And some of the supplement examples are as shown above. And before taking any type of supplement, it should also be made clear that you should consult with a doctor, consult with a healthcare provider or athletic trainer, somebody, team nutritionist, just someone before just taking these, but it can help with long-term effects. This is my references, and then are there any questions?
All right, round of applause.